Alrighty, ladies, gentlemen, and my non-binary friends, welcome back to the second game of the Friend or Foe series. First day back after the 1 week break. I am Shargan, and I am joined by the one and only Found. I found him in behind a bookshelf.
Yeah, I was reading up on this game. I wanted to see how INT does coming back from their slow downswing earlier in the season, and I'm really big fan of Team Sword. I think they've been improving every week, so I'm really excited to be back and have such a great game to be ready to be played.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this game too, because I know that Team Sword, while they don't have the best record in the league at 3-5 versus the 5-3 in the trees, they do tend to be a very scrappy team, and I like scrappy. I love seeing people who are just willing to like go balls to the wall and just go gunning for it. And on them, I'm looking forward to seeing what Ollie manages to pull out and King Gator. Both those guys are always a lot of fun to watch. And in the meantime, you've got In the Trees' Brock Lee, Evolved Noob, and Kenny Hammerspike, who just are absolutely amazing. And you can't forget the man who slops.
Yeah, these are all returning players. They kept the roster together. These guys have been with each other for a long time. They were really dominant last season, so this season they're starting off a little slower, but I'm really happy to see that they've continued their synergy and they're doing well, even if the other teams have leveled up.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that it looks like we have a missing ban. I'm guessing that's because of a last-minute substitution on the side of Team Sword, but I'm not entirely certain on that. In the meantime, though, we do have the picks coming out. Lulu, a very strong support pick, of great peeling, great engage. It's like definitely one of those things that you always want to have. Coupling that with a Diana, you've got the nice engage assassin, just a lot of damage available for you in the mid lane. And in response, In the Trees has pulled out the Ezreal and the Udyr. Which is gonna be it's gonna be kind of nasty, I think.
Yeah, Ezreal coming out early is really showing that they're going to index into a heavy poke lane. If this Karma is locked in, which it is, that's going to be a really strong 2v2. And I like that they selected it so early if this is the avenue they're going to. Both these teams have coaching staff, so we expect really well thought out and integral drafts and making sure all the champions meld together quite well. They have the speed for the Udyr from the Karma and also the shielding for the Ezreal, so I really like what In the Trees has selected. And on the side of Team Sword, they've also selected a really easy to execute composition with the Diana R and the Lulu R that can both pair together.
As a heavy engaged support player, I have to say that seeing a Karma in my lane makes me very upsetty spaghetti. Just right up.
She's definitely one of the strongest laners right now. If you can get away with her in the mid game, she dominates basically every lane. There's very little lanes that she'll lose to. So especially into something like Lulu, who can't really trade back into her with the empowered Q and the R being available so early. I really like this selection as a counter pick to the Lulu.
I think it's a great counter pick to Lulu, and just throwing a Tristana on there, you're trying to get a bot lane on the side of Team Sword that if it does manage to push up to a tower, it's able to take it as quickly as possible, which I think is something that they definitely need. And then we look at these bans coming out right here. We've got the Yone ban, and the Gangplank, and the Orianna. And honestly, I think getting that Yone and the Gangplank out of the running for possible picks is a very smart move on both teams.
Yeah, they're really trying to prevent some of these heavy team fighters, AoE damage. All the champions that have been banned in the second round are heavy AoE champions, so they want to prevent that wombo from coming through, especially since Team Sword seems to be moving in that direction, so they would have wanted some form of AD AoE like the Yone. So if the Yasuo is not banned, that could be something else that they can move towards. That also is going to have a really decent a synergy with the Diana. When Diana goes in, her R does supply a knockup, so Yasuo can follow up. So that's a champion I'd like to see. Hopefully we get it, but if not, it most likely will be some form of AD mid laner.
Maybe so. I'm expecting In the Trees to pull out some tanks here. Same thing with Team Sword. Like, that's kind of what both of these teams need at the moment. And look at that. We got a Akali coming out. Is that probably an Akali top?
It could be either an Akali top or an Akali mid. It's played both in both ranges. This is a really smart pick. It's always good to have a flex pick picked on your 4. And if it does head into that top side, it does do well with Conqueror into some of these tanks that we've been seeing. So Akali is very strong right now. She does have a really high barrier to execution though. So with them locking in this Cassin, I would expect them to send that Akali top and lock in a really strong AD mid laner to punish this Cassin.
Right. I was gonna say we have a Diana anyway. So does that mean? Oh, pardon me. Does that mean we're gonna be having a Diana jungle by any chance?
Yeah, Diana is typically played in the jungle, basically. It's unlikely to see it in the mid lane. It has really weak laning. It can be shut down very easily when it is in the mid, so I'd expect it to go jungle. And with the Cassidy and the Vi picked up, that's going to mean this Udyr is going to be going somewhere else, or this Vi is going to be headed into the top lane. So interesting blind pick.
That is a really interesting blind pick. I have a feeling that that's probably going to be a Vi in the top lane. Maybe no, Vi jungle, and then we're gonna have the Udyr in the top lane. And then you say Diana's mostly in the jungle. I have honestly not seen her in the jungle in a very long time, but maybe there was a patch or something that I missed. We've got the Jax coming. What is these comps right here? I am so totally confuzzled right now. Like the only thing I can point out is the bot lanes. And even then, I'm not sure if that's true.
I'm not happy with that. Team Sword, they had a really good opportunity to flex into something really strong. The Jax, it can do well into something like Vi. It does block auto attack damage, but the laning phase for your Kali into the Cassin is not as strong as you could have gotten. You could have easily sent the Tristana mid, had the Kali go top lane, and then had picked a really strong AD carry, something like a Kog'Maw would have been fine, or Jinx would also have been suitable. So that's where I would have liked them to go, but it looks like they're going to standardize, going to go really something that we would expect, and expect to exploit this Vi in the top lane with a Jax, and hopefully that'll balance out the disadvantage of a Cassidy and a Kali matchup.
It'll be really interesting. I'm excited to see what we have coming out here. It's, in all honesty, it's kind of funny. I'm going to put my money on In the Trees, just out of personal preference, because a lot of their abilities, while they are skill shot, they're very straight skill shot or point and clicks. While on the side of Team Sword, you've got a little bit of angling you got to do, except for that Jax, who's just going to be able to jump in. So I think that the easier executing comp with whatever it is these teams are trying to do is going to be on the side of In the Trees.
I think I would have to go the opposite way. I think Team Sword has a really easy to execute composition. They have and as long as Lulu doesn't die instantly, that is going to be the main target. Polymorph is really dangerous into Cast and Vibe. If either of these champions get polyed and die instantly, it's going to be really hard for them to execute on a team fight. So I like Team Sword, but we'll find out as soon as we get in the game. Hopefully that transition is going to be happening as soon as possible, because I'm excited to see what both these teams have after this break.
All right, and hopping out into this game, I would honestly expect to see at least one invade just based off these team comps, because they both want to fight early. Although, see, it is going to be that Vi in the top lane, Udyr in the jungle, and we've got Jax in the top lane, Akali in the mid lane, Diana in the jungle. So I'm just probably wrong on that Diana pick in jungle. I think against Udyr, she's going to have a little bit of trouble, though.
So if you Riot has buffed the Diana jungle, she has a really fast clear speed. She can actually keep up with Udyr after the changes that was made. That's why we've been seeing her as mostly a jungle pick. She does still have the same disadvantages that she has in the mid lane. Her mobility is very contingent on enemy champions. She's very good at going in, not as good going out. So it's really important for Vi to get a really solid early start, and it looks like she's going to get that, as if she chooses to path away from this Udyr, but actually they're going to be matching, so they're both going to be topside at level 4.
Yeah, I think at level 4, they're both going to be topside and going for those ganks, either on the mid or the top lane. I'm expecting Jax to have a little bit of a better time of that matchup. King Gator, we've seen, can do some amazing work. I don't know why Ollie didn't back. I probably would have if I were them, but that's just their preference.
Yeah, it would have been a late base anyway, so it's not too bad. They have a really weak early game anyway. Tristana Lulu is not very strong, especially into both these champions that are going to have very heavy poke. So they're trying not to get super far behind early. Honestly, if I was a Tristana, she shouldn't even level her E, because she doesn't want that wave pushing in, and that is going to be a really difficult lane. I'm really excited to see how they're going to execute this into the mid.
It will be kind of interesting. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of this right here, where King Gator is just going to walk up onto Broccoli and then just kind of get a couple of nice good boops in. But that's going to be how that top lane just ends up playing out.
Yeah, but it's important to make sure he actually dodges something. He didn't dodge any damage, so the Vi was able to get a really good trade back with the minion damage and the auto coming away. So that's important for the Jax in this matchup to make sure. And this is really well done from the side of Kentucky Gent. Even in the Lulu, they have managed to get a decent trade onto the Karma. This is going to make their laning phase that should have been quite difficult very good. And even with the level 2s coming in from the Ezreal and the Karma, this is a really solid lane position for the Tristana Lulu to be in.
I am actually really surprised at just how much they were able to do to that Karma and how low she had gotten. Look at that. We've already got a dive coming out from Jovi as he goes in on Evolve New, but is not quite able to get him. He does take a tower shot, which just puts him right back where he started, unfortunately. So he's got to make sure that he's avoiding that.
Yeah, this is going to be a dangerous all-in setup that isn't Ignite Akali, so the Cassidy is going to need to be concerned. Akali has a lot of burst damage in the early game. even with the Conqueror. And if that E lands, a lot of damage is front loaded into that second E activation in the early game. And here we go.
Look at this. King Gator going into the bot lane, topside jungle, getting some nice damage out. We've got Cam coming in to join this fight. That is a good engage. That is going to be Flash coming out for Broccoli. First blood going over to Vi as she jumps over the wall. And that is going to be Broccoli and Evolve New picking up a kill.
This is why it's very important on this Diana and on this Jax. When you're looking for an invade, that invade basically makes no sense. You know that the Udyr is going to be level 4, Jax is going to be level 3, so even though you're a top laner, you're going to be at a disadvantage. Now you've given double buffs over to a Kassadin, and for a lane that was already difficult, this Akali is going to struggle now that Kassadin has the sustain from red and the extra mana from blue.
Yeah, both of those buffs going over to Evolve Noob is going to be a huge problem for Team Sword, and I liked the initiative Team Sword was showing right there, and I liked the fact that Cam was already on their way, basically knowing that, hey, we're going to go ahead and invade this jungle. It was a little bit overplayed in the sense of they didn't back off as soon as the Vi showed up, and they weren't quite able to start that fight early. Right here, you've got In the Trees taking advantage of the fact that they are ahead right now. They're going into Sword's jungle. Cam having to take a smite out on the ground just to stay alive, jumping around, trying to get out of there. Bow Explode is taking a lot of damage from Kentucky Jet. Kentucky Jet jumping over the wall. This fight is still going. Lulu getting caught out. That is going to be a huge amount of damage. That's going to be a kill for Brock Lee as they take down Ollie.
Yeah, and this is the second game in a row where we've really seen these disadvantages are occurring just from a failure to understand how jungle works at the moment and where these enemy junglers need to be. The jungler is, you know that the Udyr is going to be pathing towards that top side to get that second Skullcrab. If you know you can't contest it, there's no reason to also try to contest your Gromp there. So you need to just be going, pick up those Krug camps. That Krug, your Krugs have been on the map so long, they're still level 1. Udyr is going to have level 2 Krugs. And now you're in a position where you're going to be massively down in experience. That's a level 5 Udyr who's going to ding 6 probably before the Diana hits 4.5.
Yeah, no, that is going to be a 2-level lead on the side of Bow Explode in comparison to the rest of the team. I think one thing we got to keep an eye out for, if Sword wants to come back in this, it's going to probably be relying on that Tristana and on that Akali getting some really nice plays out there. The teleport that came out from Brock Lee right there is also really key. It caused them to have, that was the only reason that they were joined that fight to begin with. And so that is a timer they've got to keep in mind. It is going to allow King Gator to have a little bit more pressure on the map. As long as he doesn't teleport back to lane here, then it should be fine.
Yeah, so it is a really solid position. Now this dragon is going to go over. That pink ward is not going to be able to, is going to negate the ward vision, so they're going to know this is going down, but not be able to do anything to stop it. And just look at this disadvantage that's managed to accrue in some of these lanes. That's going to be the Vi, has 2 kills. She's going to have a gold lead into the Jackson. The Kassadin is going to have a big CS lead into the Akali, especially with this this wave about to crash, and Akali is going to be difficult time picking it up all those minions that are coming into her. So this is a really solid early game for In the Trees, and this is what we expect from them, as they've been really strong laners consistently, and now they've demonstrated a good knowledge of the execution portion of the early game.
Look at that damage coming out from King Gator, but not dodging that the empowered auto attack from Vi, taking a huge chunk of damage that essentially negates that whole fight. I think it's really interesting seeing Vi in a solo lane. I'm just so used to seeing her only in the jungles that to actually see her doing really well in a lane is really kind of interesting.
Yeah, it looks like King Gator is just showing that he probably hasn't played this matchup quite often. This is definitely a Broccoli special, and it's something that can be very difficult. Jax can win it. It's definitely going to be more important for the Jax to hold his Counter-Strike. He needs to negate the empowered E damage that comes through from the Vi. If the Vi is managing to E through the minions and constantly trade onto him, then she's going to get the better of these trades, and that's going to be a really disadvantage because they need this Jax to be big in the late game.
They do, and right here is exactly why. We've got an Udyr. Our poor Kenny Hammerspike is about to engage on this as Bow Explode and He Who Slaps both flank around. That is a jump onto the Lulu. Tristana trying to jump out. Kentucky Jet doing what he can. He's going to get bursted down, though, by this Udyr and by the damage. That is a heal coming out, keeping him alive, but it's not going to be enough as He Who Slaps picks up that kill, and that is going to be a Ollie managing to just barely get out. And in the top lane, we've got a little bit of a skirmish going on, too.
Yeah, this is a really solid wave position for the Vi. The wave is going to be pushing in. She's going to be able to get a quick reset if she chooses to go there. It's going to negate the CS advantage that Jax has managed to accrue. And I think overall, In the Trees has just been playing lane better overall, and that's something that we hadn't been seeing, and they're really going back to the roots in that aspect of the game.
Yeah, well, you say that Jax has a CS advantage with those 2 kills onto the Vi. I think that it might actually put them about even, if not putting the Vi slightly ahead. She's in a really good position right now, and see, like that, doing a lot of damage to King Gator, holding onto that second empowered E to get that 3rd auto attack off. The ult's coming out as well. That is gonna be a lot of damage, but that is gonna be Broccoli getting shut down as King Gator kills him.
See, and that was well done. That was when the counter shock is held as long as possible. The Vi did not get her E damage, so that really stunted the denting blows. A lot of damage from Vi comes from the attack speed she gets from proccing denting blows. So her getting that proc very, very late in the trade has allowed this Jax to pick it up, and now he's gonna be in trouble.
Yep, King Gator sticking around too long. He does manage to block the initial stun, but that is going to be a Falcon coming out and a Chilling Smite. Flash as well. The Vo Explode is just like, you know what? I'm going to flash under tower and take you out.
Yeah, the Phoenix Strike auto is going to be enough to pick it up, and that is a really, really damaging kill for the side of Jax. He wanted to get that wave pushed in to get a good reset, and now Vi is going to have the opportunity to freeze and collect up a lot of this CS. So really, that's another Vo Explode bailing Broccoli out in a sense.
Right here, we got Kentucky Gent going in on this. That is a nice bomb placed on Kenny Hammerspike's head. Not a lot of damage, and that is He Who Slops getting knocked back. I'm not entirely sure if that engage was intentional.
Yeah, that just wasn't executed very well. The Lulu didn't get in range to use anything other than the shield. The poly didn't go off, so that is the Ezreal being able to trade back pretty heavily. And that is going to be really difficult, especially this Ezreal already has 2 kills. He's going to be even the CS quite soon. And this bot lane needed to do well, and it looks like both Kenny Hammerspikes and He Who Slaps is getting the advantage.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this game is just going to go in the direction of in the trees. Like, look at that. Ollie's tanking that that empowered Q coming out of Kenny Hammerspike. This lane is just not going well for them at all.
Yeah, and this is a lot of what the draft occurred and what they opted into. So look, the dodge has come through, and here we go.
Yeah, we got a fight going on in the top lane. That is a nice block. We got a good ambush right there as poor Cam having to flash out, getting smited once again as Bo Explode goes under tower. He doesn't get the auto attack off as Evolved Noob gets taken down, and so Jovi manages to pick up the kill on Bo Explode. Sorry, Evolved Noob taking down Cam instead of Bo Explode taking him down.
Yeah, that is not as bad as it could have been. The Team Sword has managed to pick up a trade kill, and it's going on at the Akali, which is a really needed influx of gold, but that's another kill onto Cassidy, and as he continues to scale, Akali is basically never going to be able to 1v1 Cassidy in this mid game, so we're already reached that point, and this is where you have to question, why didn't they look to put these lanes in a position where everyone got decent counters?
Yeah, it's kind of like we're looking at these picks right now, and I think just straight up in the draft phase, in the trees has pulled out a big win. Broccoli getting a huge amount of CS from those denting blows. It's absolutely ridiculous what's coming out right now.
Yeah, and this is definitely a good. The lane is frozen, so this is going to be a really struggling point from the Akali to do anything here. But this is definitely an important portion for what coaching staffs can do, what other teams can do to learn from this. And this is going to be a really good, intelligent game if people want to go over to take a lot away from it. But basically, if you're going to pick in this manner, you're going to have all your players be able to play these counter picks. That means King Gator is going to need to be able to have been able to play the Akali. Jovi's going to need to be able to Tristana. These are things that need to be executed and should be able to be taken advantage of. So as you move forward, these are champions that really need to be added to really take full advantage of what they've selected.
And we've got the Rift Herald dropped in the bot lane. That is going to be a 3 turret plates down just on that side. In the trees is cracking this open. We've already got Soul revealed. It is once again an Infernal Drake. Both of these teams picking high damage comps is causing that to come out. Bo Explode has basically controlled all of Cam's jungle. Cam cannot go anywhere without being at risk of taking a huge amount of damage. Look at that. Just 2 combos coming out from Bo Explode manages to get him down to less than half health.
Yeah, basically when the point is reached, now your bot lane is in trouble. Casson is having priority in a lane where he has no business to have priority, so now your bot lane is going to need to back off. This is going to set multiple lanes behind consistently as Boxwell can constantly be in this jungle, taking camps. If Diana goes for this, she could easily die, especially since she doesn't have much available, and here we go.
There we go. That was a good jump onto Bo Explode. They know that he's greeting for that camp, and so they do manage to get the kill, which is going to be huge for them. He Who Slops, though, I think that may have been a slightly missed burst cone. All right, that blast cone right there. He Who Slops doesn't actually get themselves in any danger at all.
There's a little bit of greed on the side of the. Yeah, there's no way he kills him there. But there's going to be a little bit of greed on the side of Bo Explode, staying a little bit longer than expected. The bot lane didn't want to commit to the invade fully, so the other bot lane was able to move, and Tristana got that double jump, so it's not going to be be able to run away. Diana is always going to be a threat. That R is very concerning if you get hit by both ends of it, and Udyr is not going to be able to get away in most cases, as even the speed is going to be difficult for him to run out. So that's a big kill to come over, and Cam is going to have to find more avenues to get back into this game, as he's going to be a really big damage threat in this mid game.
Yeah, because I believe this is the patch where they did reintroduce comeback XP, so he should be able to bring himself back here if he falls too far behind. But he's not quite there yet. He's got to be, I think, 5 levels. Is it 5 levels?
I believe it's 3 with the changes, but even then, even the comeback XP is really big on kills. So any kills that he gets is going to help out. Also, assists help a lot with his XP. So that's probably the reason why. Probably last patch he would be 2 levels behind. Now he's only 1. The camps are leveling up quite evenly, so he is going to be in a decent spot when it comes to levels. He just probably will be behind significantly in damage from items.
Damage from items, absolutely, because he won't have the gold, and that is a TP coming out once again from the side of Team Sword. I'm honestly, I'm just going to be straight up with this. I am not a fan with the way Sword has been using their teleports. Look at that fight right there. Jovi getting some decent damage, but not enough to actually really do anything. I'm not a fan of the TPs to lane when it's in that sort of position. It's not helping anyone when you need to be saving it for getting around the map.
Yeah, it's really, really greedy uses, but you can see why they're going for this avenue. There's not any deep vision to TP to, and that's going to be a flash from the Lulu, so they're going to be actually looking to fight here, but it's going to be mostly a walkout, as this is nothing's going to be available until kill is going to happen in the top side.
Yeah, exactly. The kill's going to happen topside, and that's going to be on the side of team in the trees. Right there. We've got the Counter-Strike coming out. It's already gone off, so there's Gator having to worry about all of the damage coming out from those denting blows, and that is going to be Bow Explode and poor Brock Lee just jumping right on top of him, and there's nowhere for King Gator to go.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is actually a problem, most likely a mistake from King Gator in his warding. If he is the one who placed the ward in the bush on the top side, if you notice, there is a ward there. There's 2 pink wards on the entrances to where Udyr would have to come through if he wanted to come back. That ward is entirely too shallow. There's no way that Udyr can't run past that, especially with a point-and-click CG champion with Vi in the top lane. So that's a change that could be made. These wards should be in the entrances where the Udyr has to walk through, so you see him a little bit earlier to prevent a death like that, because now that's going to be a tower taken down.
Yeah, that's going to be a tower taken down. I think he used the blast cone to get over there, though, so it basically wouldn't have mattered anyway from a timing perspective. He was too far pushed up in lane for it to really matter. Vi was going to be able to lock him down regardless. And that's the thing about Vi. She has a lot of CC in her kit that's going to allow her to delay those fights, and actually does make it really easy for her jungler to come up to that lane and just make the ganks super easy.
Yeah, and since she has opted to go for this Triforce, so there's not going to be any of a Stride Breaker, any other type of cheese like that. She's going straight up for the damage, and for how important it is going to be for her to lock down one of these champions. All these champions are very vulnerable to the Vi ultimate, so I like the decision to go for more upfront damage, as you probably won't need the tankiness in this specific matchup.
Not to mention the fact that poor Akali is not going to be immune to taking damage from it. Look at that flash coming out from Evolved Noob, and the ulti and the ignite coming out. That is going to be a shutdown. Go over and over to Jovi.
Yeah, really well played on the side of Jovi. And when you have Ignite in these type of matchups, it's always important to Ignite early. You need to get that execute range as soon as possible, and Jovi did execute in that manner, so I'm really happy to see. The Akali is going to be struggling a little bit in CS, so that kill probably just brought her to even in the casting matchup, but that's exactly what they need to maintain any sort of pressure in this game.
And in the bot lane, once again, we've got Kentucky Gent, who still hasn't finished an item yet. They've only got a Noon Quiver and a pickaxe. They finished the boots, but they don't have a lot of damage, so taking this turret is practically impossible for them.
Yeah, that tower was full HP, and this is in the situation now. You have your mid tower dropping, your top tower is also dead. So this is a 3-tower advantage. The Drakes are stacking. This is going to be another game in a row where we see just complete dragon control. And now you got to be concerned. Where are you going to put these lanes? Your Tristana probably needs to go mid. Akali should be hitting this side lane as soon as possible. And all these lanes are going to be vulnerable, especially when you consider that they have to push to really get these waves in. But here's a dive setup.
This is a nice dive setup. I do like this. However, I don't think that Vi is taking a lot more damage than I expected to see happen. Gator, in the meantime, taking one more tower shot is going to bring him down, but that's going to be a heal coming out at just the right opportunity as he does manage to stay alive.
Yeah, a really well executed dive. Vi is not going to be able to survive that. heavy mixed damage comes from the Jax and the Diana. So really good execution and giving King Gator something in advance because he's gonna need to be really big in this late mid game. It would have been better if he got the kill, but unfortunately, Diana got it.
It was a situation I think he had to start walking out from that turret because otherwise he was going to take another tower shot, and that was going to be what takes him down. With the way things are playing out, though, this is a completely controlled in the trees game. There is just no way for, I think, Sword to see their way through these woods.
Yeah, multiple wards going down, CS advantages in every lane, and like it's really dangerous for anyone to walk in. Most of them don't have decent escape when it comes to what can be follow up with on the other side. So yeah, this is gonna be a really hard controlled game. They're probably just gonna be waiting for the soul. That soul is gonna be at 21 minutes, so really early soul. And if that comes through, then there's not gonna be really anything to do. This is another Infernal Soul game with a composition where you pray that it's not Infernal Soul.
Yeah, like you had to know that. On the side of Team Sword, they're like, please don't be Infernal, please don't be Infernal, please don't be. Ah, damn it.
Yeah, Infernal and Mountain are probably the most detrimental. People have this old impression of Ocean that Ocean is super strong. Ocean is kind of it's good, but in extended team fights, you can definitely outplay and still win a fight through the Ocean Soul because it is provided you don't have a poke comp. So Ocean Soul is weaker. Cloud Soul is basically negligible in most cases. So these are one of the worst souls.
Nice fight going on here in the bot lane at the same time as a fight I think there was going on in the top lane. Jovi is managing to get onto Evolved Noob. The Ignite comes out. That is a lot of damage. That is going to be a Jovi getting yet another solo kill against Evolved Noob.
Yep, very well played on the side of Jovi. He's really executed. He's using his Shroud well. This is a matchup that Cassidy should be winning, but he's been just being outplayed by Jovi, dodging those kill shots, getting that Ignite down early, and it's an unnecessary 1v1 that Jovi has taken advantage of in 2 different occasions.
Yeah, and dodging the root from the item that Everfrost. Yeah, judging the route from the Everfrost. That was a really good dash from the side of Jovi. Like managing to get behind that rather than taking it full to the face does mean that they were able to finish that fight off and actually win it.
Yeah, if you're Cassin and you see that Conqueror proc from the Akali, you're not going to win the fight anymore. It's time to get out. So that has been a really good execution. And you've noticed that every time 1v1 has gone down, Jovi has had his Ignite available. He's making sure all his tools are there so he can chase down this Cassin. He's holding his E to follow up the Cassin R, which is really effective. So he has been playing this lane quite well, and he's going to need to be really big to have threat onto this Ezreal or to this Cassin through a Vi who can just R him even in the Shroud.
Yeah, and right here we got Broccoli. He's already knows that he's probably got to back off, so he's just going to kind of dip around to the tri-brush. I think so. The way this game is playing out right now, I think if you're Team Sword, you've got to basically play to your strengths, which are going to be your split pushing, and you've got to try and avoid getting caught out, avoid pushing as hard as you are. Jovi senses something's up just by the way you can see his pathing. He knows something's going on. They know that there's somebody in that jungle. Bo Explode has basically decided, hey, I just want all of the jungle camps. I do not want Diana to get a single one, so we're going to invade as often as possible. He's been in this bot side jungle at least 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be a very dangerous face check. The Tristana is the target that needs to be paid attention to. If she walks into this bush, she'll die instantly, and that'll just give over Infernal Soul. So they need to be smart as they walk in.
Yeah, they need to be really smart as they're walking into this. Right now, I have a feeling that anyone walks into that bush, it's going to be a death bush, and I have a feeling it's going to be poor little Cam right here. Look at this. Cam already knows that something's up, and bam! That's a nice explosion as Evolved Noob takes him down, and that is going to be another jump onto Ollie as Ollie has to ult, trying to survive, but doesn't manage to do it. Kentucky Gent just decides to back off and is like, you fellas, have a good day.
Yeah, and you gotta question, why are you walking towards that angle? There's no reason. The dragon hasn't spawned yet. You have wards into one of the entrances. It's very easy just to walk in there when you intend to contest the dragon. So that's gonna be a kill given over for the side of Team Sword. They gave over the Lulu, they gave over the Diana, and now with 20 seconds before this dragon spawn, it's probably just gonna be an Infernal given over too, and in mid tier 2. So this is gonna be a really big influx of gold for in the trees.
That is a huge influx of gold, and it's one of those situations where if they had somehow just decided, you know what, we're just going to clear the camps, we're not going to venture too far out, I feel like walking, like you said, towards that one particular brush was what absolutely undid them, and if they had just kind of armed out on the side, they basically would have been wasting in the trees' time over there.
Yeah, and now they have to fight. This is going to be a 3v4.
There, I don't know.
Early.
Cam is going to have to do some fancy footwork, diving in, trying to get that smite, but doesn't manage to do it. Blue team takes down the Drake, and that is going to be Cam getting bursted down. Doesn't manage to actually get taken out completely, but that's going to be Broccoli coming in from the back line. Meanwhile, over here on the bot side, we've got Kentucky Jet. Does manage to pick themselves up a kill, and Evolved Noob goes on a killing spree, taking down the Lulu. That is, we're going to have to rewind this so we can watch this again, because this fight went absolutely ridiculous. Jovi is using some fancy footwork, getting that juke stick out, trying to get away. Gets rooted in place, though, by the Everfrost, and gets taken down by He Who Slops. And we've got Vizeal here continuing this fight, chasing down Kentucky Jet. Oh my goodness, right here. That is a nice flash trying to escape. It doesn't manage to do it. Broccoli picks up another kill.
And now King Gator, he's probably going to give up a kill. This has been a huge transition of kills for
This is a huge transition. Jesus. Sorry, I was trying to let you continue that. King Gator getting taken down, bursted, and that was just one of those fights that just continued way too long.
Oh yeah, absolutely. King Gator was definitely he was finding his way into the gray screen, and as we go back and see exactly what happened, this is going to be a really good smite on the side of Boexplode. We know he did manage to secure the soul. This starts off as a 4v3, so this is probably the best chance for Team Sword to come back and win this fight. And you see that you have both the Cassidy and the Vi. The Vi is already basing, so really smart base. She knows she wants to teleport. Here comes the teleport Veil. It's going to be on that ward that they're all going to walk by. The pink ward right there. They're going to get a double teleport. That's going to come through. Vi's not going to get it with the R. And then now with the Ezreal getting out over the wall, Akali is going to manage to pick him up. So that's going to be a good kill on the side. Boexplode is going to drop 2 to Kenny. But now that you have 2 people completely out of position, and as they walk through the jungle, you know they're going to go down. The R for Vi is still available. So one person is going to die guaranteed. And it is going to be the Kassadin. And the Tristana. The Kassadin is going to pick up the... Well, actually, the Jovi is going to die to He Who Slops, so that's going to be unfortunate for the Kassadin, but now Tristana has no escape, and that's going to be another kill. And then King Gator is just going to try to suicide for the tower. I mean, he wants to get some gold back for his team. I can kind of see his decision at this point. You've already overstayed. You're going to die anyway, even if you walk out through the back, so you might as well. And as long as he dies to someone who is optimal, but it looks like he's going to die to the Vi, so that's probably one of the worst targets for the Tristana, to have a Vi getting more kills. And yeah, just a really bad transition for Team Spear. They lost basically everything besides that tier 2, and now they're probably going to lose Baron also.
Yeah, no, I think what's going to end up we're going to see Baron fall here right away, and I think that fight is actually kind of indicative of where this game is, where In the Trees made a huge number of mistakes during that fight, just letting themselves get separated and taken out, which I think there was some very creative uses of the Blast Cone during all that, which was really nice, just in order to navigate the field. And unfortunately, with Kentucky Jet going down, means that the fight is completely lost. And there we have Baron coming down as well. There's just literally nothing they can do. I really feel like they should have just let Soul go, tried to force another objective, and then maybe baited out Baron. And had they done that, they would have been able to catch them in a bush, maybe actually get some kills there. That would have been a little bit more significant. And then they could have actually gone for Baron by doing that.
I would have to say I agree with Team Sword's decision to fight the Soul. I just think they probably should have saved the Diana R, especially if you're trying to use it to burst the dragon. It's really valuable in these team fights. And if they did manage to get a good pullback, and look at O'Kenny, he's just going to get chunked by the Ezreal R.
Oh my God.
That is the Inferno Drake damage.
That is a lot of damage coming out right there. Jesus, like that, just in general, that Essence Flux was just ridiculous.
Yeah, and you have lethality built up on this Ezreal. He's gonna have the extra little crit from the Essence Reaver as well. And now, how do you walk up? How do you contest? There's really gonna be no way unless they're gonna fight instantly.
Yeah, and we got a fight going on right here in the middle of the lane. Boexplode just takes out Cam almost instantaneously. Jovi taking down Kenny Hammerspike. We've got Jax trying to jump onto Boexplode. We've got a counter-strike that he is Lulu ulted. That doesn't mean he has a lot of health. That is going to be that taken down. So we do actually see right now that Team Sword does have some fighting ability.
Yeah, really good punish on the side of Team Sword. They did look at their waves. They saw that the top side was already pushed in on the side of the Jax, so the Vi had no teleport, and she was going to have to match the wave. But you have to understand, INT getting a little over-aggressive. There's no reason to be pushing so early on, and you could really save that timing. Especially when your Kassadin hits that tier 2 and your Vi hits that tier 2, there's nothing that Team Sword can do, so... Oh, good punish on the side of Team Sword, mistake on entries.
This is the mistake set that Team Sword needed. This is their way back into this game. Look at the damage they're doing to these turrets. They are just... bursting these things down. It is absolutely insane how much damage they're doing. That top lane is freezing right there, and so they do need to back off a little bit. That is a lot of damage. The Guardian proc coming out, keeping Oli alive, though.
Yeah, a lot of damage coming through. The Ezreal is going to be a big threat. The Serpent's Fang is already good. And with that completed, that's going to be good against both the Diana and the Lulu, as the shield damage is going to get cut through. And here's a 1v1 attempt.
1v1 attempt by Evolve Noob, but I think Jovi's just going to go ahead and back off, and Evolve Noob doing the same, which was really smart, because while there are 3 members of Team in the Trees in the mid lane that would have been able to turn around and fight that, Jovi knew that he was not going to win, so he was already on the back foot.
Yeah, and given how these 1v1s have been going to the side of Jovi, I see why Evolve Noob may have not been interested in taking another one, but this Baron is going to be still available.
We got King Gator. He's walking into this bush, taking an essence, like right there, getting that arcane damage on him is just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, that is tons of damage, and that's going to be consistent. Ezreal's probably one of the best users of Infernal Soul, and now you're in a position where you can get poked out of any objective, so you basically have to engage instantly.
Yeah, and so one thing to keep in mind is that with that last fight, there were 3 Barons that went down. We had a little bit of sieging going on right here, but the Baron buff timer is now gone, so that is not a factor in these fights anymore. And I think that that was one of the reasons why In the Trees was pushing as hard as they were. We do have Elder Drake up here in about 1:20, which is our first Elder this season. That is a nice Diana ult coming out. We got a lot of damage coming out from the side of Jovi, but he has to go gold in order to stay alive, but he's going to get jumped on by 4 members of the rest of In the Trees as they all show up. That is going to be a dive under the tier 2 turret, the inhibitor turret. It's not going to really matter, though, as that turret just does not do enough damage. Jax jumping onto the back line, trying to take down Kenny Hammer Spike, does not do enough damage, though. He's going to get bursted down, and that is going to be an ace over to the side of In the Trees, and this could very well be the game.
Yeah, that's just game over here. In the Trees is gonna lock it up, killing everybody right outside the base. Keep this this cannon minion alive, and that's it. Well, look at all this damage for all these towers, and that's gonna be a quick wrap up. 27 minutes, really clean for In the Trees, and a good bounce back from how they've been playing.
That was a good bounce back, and we did see a moment right there where Team Sword was able to almost pull a game out, but unfortunately In the Trees was just too far ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Impatience loses games, so that's something that even In the Trees could take away from this. And for the side of Team Spear, they really needed this Akali to execute. Jovi played extremely well. He was definitely the shining star of his team, but everyone else, they really fell down, and they couldn't really find a way to pick themselves back up. So I'm really happy with how the In the Trees played. They played a solid game. They definitely utilized everything that they had. Look at that damage coming out from the Ezreal. That Infernal Soul giving him that bonus really helps out there. And I'm just really happy with how both teams have played. You can still see the growth from Team Sword and a better performance from Team In the Trees.
Yeah, no, I think that In the Trees definitely had a better performance than they have for these past couple of games. And one thing I think to take away is, in addition to Team Sword improving as much as they have, we could see a lot more coordination from them this time than we have seen in some of their previous games. I think in the draft, though, one of the biggest losses that Team Sword had was, unfortunately, that Lulu pick that was picked really early on. It just wasn't as effective as they needed it to be. She was always too far back for most of those fights. It was whenever she was close enough to actually get the ultimate off and able to polymorph some of the enemies that she was actually able to really swing those team fights. But unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, it just didn't work out.
Yeah, that is just. I mean, these teams both suffered from the same thing. We saw a consistent issue from both the losing teams, just playing around your jungle early. I think actually the biggest disadvantage of just having your jungle fall so far behind, the enemy jungle hitting level 4 and the other jungle still level 3. That's been basically the main struggle, and when that occurs, you're going to be in a really tough spot in any matchup. And then they just choose to fight the scuttle anyway, and then you see these disadvantages. So I think both teams can take away. You need to play better around your jungle. And you need to be more effective in that avenue, and that's probably the best spot for improvement.
Jungle is definitely the name of the game. I completely agree. I think that we're seeing that role have a much bigger impact this current patch than we have in the past, which is really nice to see a lot of that agency being brought back there. With that, Found, thank you so much for casting with us. That was really awesome. I think we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will see you guys another day.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here with the second interview of the day. I am joined by Bo Explode from the Victorious in the Trees. How you feeling after that win, Bo?
Pretty good.
It was a bit of a diffy in the jiffy, if I do say so myself. You had the Udyr matchup into the Diana, but there was also a bunch of other wacky stuff in this draft. You brought out the Vi top, some nice tech there. I've been a long-time fan of the Ezreal Karma, so that's a good early matchup too for the bot lane. But then I'm not 100% sure on this, but it's my understanding that Caston's supposed to lose in lane against Nikali, especially the Conqueror. What was the thought about this draft, this matchup?
So we first picked the Ezreal, knowing like we wanted to play a safer ADC in case we wanted to roam with our support. And we knew that their jungler has been spamming Diana and solo queue, so we kind of just let him have it. Personally, I don't think Diana's a good jungler because she can't really duel anyone early. So we just, picked Udyr. I could have picked anyone, Hecarim, Olaf, and would have beat the jungler either way. And then with the Vi top, we needed more CC. With just the Udyr, like I can only bear slap so many people. Yeah, and the Vi R really came through in the last team fight, R and Tristana.
Yeah, Vi's pretty fun.
Yeah, press R win game. With the Caston Akali, I'm not sure how that matchup's supposed to go. My mid laner said he was pretty confident in that matchup. The Ignite though, the Ignite difference was pretty big. Whoever had the Ignite, the Akali I think, had the Ignite. Yeah. It's a big advantage, but I think my mid laner played it well despite having that summoner difference.
Yeah, there was a couple not even close moments, little clenchers, but otherwise played really well into that matchup early for sure. Talk to me a little bit. You touched on it a second ago, but you felt really strongly about this matchup of Udyr into the Diana, having scouted this guy and seen that he's probably just gonna pick it up if you leave it open. You just like lived in this guy's jungle. You guys made it a full-time job to deny him. I mean, you like legitimately griefed to try and take his Gromp, which was respectable. What are your thoughts on the state of the jungle and just how you played out this matchup?
So I mean, everyone knows beginning of the season 11, the meta was literally Udyr Hecarim, just need for speed kind of thing. And I haven't played League in like a couple weeks, so I don't really know what the meta shifted to. I know at MSI they're picking like Rumble, Morgana, Diana, etc. But like again, like I don't think Diana can really duel anyone early game. So if she like shows up for Scuttle, instead she showed up at my jungle for some reason and tried to duel me. Yeah, I just think she loses every duel, so I could just keep invading her and she can't really do anything about it. Unless she calls her whole team over, kind of needs a support from their bot lane. Just saying. Just let me have the Gromp, man.
True. Actually just, wouldn't come in and just fight you like a man in the jungle. Stand up to you. It's funny that you brought that up. I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't have it in my notes, but that really stuck out to me early game where I saw the Jax come in and I was like, okay, this could be good. And then I looked at the minimap and I was like, oh no, buddy. And you were level 4 and this guy was level 3. And then after that, they all just sort of like kept coming in one by one to try and take a swing at the champ. And you just took on all comers, and then Vi came in for the clapping at the end. It was really odd how they played around that matchup. It was well done all around though, especially your play into the Diana. Let's move on though to just your team's trajectory in this league. So you pick up this win here. INT is not as scary as it once was. You guys have dropped a few games. How do you feel about where you stand looking forward, especially with teams like UB in the league?
With teams like UB and BBC, with UB is a new team, all plat team, and then BBC's made their roster changes. The competition's a lot scarier than last season, where last season was mainly like gold, silvers, and even some bronze. But yeah, I think dropping losses to UB and BBZ weren't the worst things possible, because I think even though we trolled early games in those games, we played our mid game, like we didn't roll over and die, like we tried to dig ourselves out of the hole, but you know, sometimes the gold lead is just too massive to do it. Against FEC, I think they're also a tough opponent. But I'm still like, I still didn't think we should have lost, like pure like skill wise. I mean, maybe they've improved heavily, but our first matchup against them, we kind of single-handedly like smashed them. So I thought the second meeting would go the same, but it did not. But I think the competition in this league, like this season, is a lot like more fierce than last season, which is why I think Team INT is like not as dominant, or it doesn't seem as dominant as last season.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Now you actually, you know, have something to measure yourself against. Before it was just nothing but plebs. Now you guys actually have some worthy opponents. I respect that point of view. Good luck with the rest of the season. Let me ask you,
Thank
Bo, before we step away, any final words?
We're playing Spear tomorrow. I heard they accused us of smurfing again. So we're gonna have to beat them with our full roster, just so that we don't need our substitutes to beat them.
All right, well, that's throwing down the gauntlet. Looking forward to the Au Natural W tomorrow. Good luck,
Yes, sir.
Bo. And folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the third match of the day.